What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Thursday, February 8th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have a 7-game NBA slate tonight. So let's take a look at the point guard position. So I'm going to give you a value play here. I think he's better cash game play, but you could play him in tournaments because his salary is low enough. I think he can return over 5 times value pretty easily in this matchup. So I like Mike Conley from the Minnesota Timberwolves playing the Milwaukee Bucks, who have the 10th worst defense overall, give up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Mike Conley averaging 26.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 29 minutes per game with a 15% usage rate. Now he's projected at 25.2 fantasy points here tonight. That's just about 5 times value. He's 5,100 DraftKings salary, 600 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 228.5 points scored in this game. And Mike Conley has scored 23, 27, and 30 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 36, 24, and 28 minutes. So he's playing plenty of minutes here. Let's see, what is he getting of fantasy points per minute? He's averaging 0.93 fantasy points per minute, which is pretty decent, especially if he can play over 30 minutes here tonight in a good matchup. And he did score 13, 49, 28, and 39 fantasy points in his last 4 games versus the Bucks. So 3 out of the last 4 versus the Bucks were good. So I like Mike Conley here versus the Milwaukee Bucks. And the other guy you want to take a look or keep your eye on here is Keyonte George from the Utah Jazz playing the Phoenix Suns. Now, Keyonte George, he's averaging 22.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 24 minutes per game, and he's projected at 21.9 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.6 times value. So he's only 3,900 DraftKings salary, although he is 1,400 more on FanDuel. I love this DraftKings price for Keyonte George, and Vegas thinks there's going to be 243.5 points scored in this game. Keyonte George has scored 32, 37, and 19 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 26, 24, and 21 minutes. And at his price tag on DraftKings, even if he just scores his season average, he'll get you well over 5 times value. If he scores in the 30s, he's going to crush value here tonight. So I like Keyonte George here versus the Phoenix Suns. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. So I'm going to give you a stud pick here. I like Anthony Edwards from the Minnesota Timberwolves playing the Milwaukee Bucks, with the 10th worst defense overall, give up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing shooting guards. Anthony Edwards averaging 43.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 32% usage rate. He's projected at 42.7 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He's 8,500 DraftKings salary, 600 more on FanDuel. Anthony Edwards has scored 68, 45, and 32 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 43, 33, and 35 minutes. And he scored 58, 34, 45, 40, and 36 fantasy points in his last 5 games versus the Bucks. So I like Anthony Edwards here versus the Milwaukee Bucks.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And then we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. So here's a value play. I like Josh Green from the Dallas Mavericks playing the New York Knicks, who have a good defense overall, but they give up the 10th most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. And Josh Green, he's averaging 18.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game. But take a look at his last 3 games here. He scored 20, 39, and 38 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 33, 31, and 37 minutes. So he's got a bump in minutes and a bump in production. He's $5,100 DraftKings salary, same price on FanDuel. So I love that FanDuel price. Now, if he can play 30 plus minutes here tonight, I think he's in good shape to get 25 plus fantasy points and get you 5 times value or more. So I like Josh Green here versus the New York Knicks. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. So I like Naz Reid. This is a value play. Could be a sleeper pick here tonight from the Minnesota Timberwolves playing the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, you could stack this game because I think there's a lot of value in this game. So you could stack a 2 or 3 Minnesota Timberwolves here in this game. So Naz Reid, he is playing the Milwaukee Bucks, who have the 10th worst defense overall, give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. Now, Naz Reid averaged 23 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 22 minutes per game with a 23% usage rate. He's projected at 24.3 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.8 times value. $4,200 DraftKings salary. He has $1,500 more on FanDuel, so this would be a DK play for me. And Naz Reid has scored 21, 27, and 16 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 20, 22, and 21 minutes. He also had a 25% usage rate 2 games in a row, last 2 games. Good matchup. Let's see how he's done versus the Bucks. Not too bad. Kind of hit or miss here. Scored 31, 16, 21, 8, and 40 fantasy points in his last 5 games versus the Bucks. So he would be a DK tournament play for me. Naz Reid here versus the Milwaukee Bucks.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, moving on to the center position here. A couple centers for you. I like Miles Turner from the Indiana Pacers playing the Golden State Warriors, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing centers. Miles Turner averaging 32.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game with a 23% usage rate. He's projected at 32.3 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.1 times value. He's $6,300 DraftKings salary, $700 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 250.5 points scored in this game, so a monster scoring game here. And Miles Turner has scored 34 and 35 fantasy points in the last 2 games, playing 28 and 26 minutes. And Miles Turner has scored 34, 28, and 33 fantasy points in his last 3 games versus Golden State. So I like Miles Turner here versus the Golden State Warriors. And I also like Wendell Carter Jr. from the Orlando Magic playing the San Antonio Spurs, who have the 3rd worst defense overall, give up the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing centers. Wendell Carter Jr. averaging 24.4 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 26 minutes per game with a 17% usage rate. He's projected at 27.4 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.2 times value. Only 5,300 DraftKings salary, 800 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 226 points scored in this game. So Wendell Carter Jr. scored 28, 16, and 37 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 27, 27, and 36 minutes. So his minutes have ticked up here, and his production been pretty good the past 3 games. I think that he's got a good matchup here, and he scored 23, 35, 17, 43, and 31 fantasy points in his last 5 games versus the Spurs. So probably one of my favorite low salary center picks here tonight. So I like Wendell Carter Jr. here versus the San Antonio Spurs.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.